Hi, good morning, class. Welcome to my next lecture of English communication, that is lecture 12 of module 5. So, in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the public speaking skills. If you are appointing on a particular position which is having an interference of public, or in which you have to face a lot of audience, so while talking to the audience, are you having those skills which are actually required to deliver in front of the audience or not? So about that we have already discussed. We have discussed about extempore, which is also a kind of selecting process which with number of multinational companies used to follow in the process of selection. And then extempore is all about to judge the personality on the basis ki whether you have the capability of acting in an emergency situation. If certain things is going to be happen on an emergency basis, so whether you are having that kind of personality or whether you are having that skills with the help of which you can easily perform in that emergency situation. So for that the company used to take extempore round. Then second is about the group discussion. Group discussion is all about the team player or the team spirit. Ki if you are working in a particular organization, whether you are being performed good in a team or not. Second, whether you have a team spirit or not. So this type of judgment is going to take with the help of group discussion. Now in this session we are going to have a discussion of role play. So role play is also a kind of public speaking skills. It helps the company to identify the personality, whatever the job profile or whatever the designation which the company is going to give to the candidate, whether that candidate is having those skills or qualities for that particular position or not. So just to know whether the person is having those skills for which the company is hiring that candidate, so that can be judged with the help of role play. So role play helps also to judge the personality in knowing the skills for which the company is going to hire the candidate. So it is a method of learning by doing. What is role play? Role play is any activity when you either put yourself into somebody else's shoes or when you stay in your own shoes but put yourself into an imaginary situation. That means if you are going for an interview and in that interview you have given a assignment that you have to perform the role play of HR manager, that means it becomes sometimes a bit difficult for the person to act for some other position for which he don't know how to react, for which he don't know the experience. So that is known as when you put yourself into somebody else's shoes or when you stay in your own shoes and you have to perform in an imaginary situation. So that is known as the role play. During your childhood or during your school days, you have gone with the number of role plays. So that is also a kind of role play in which your teachers will judge your personality whether you are good in doing acting or not. But in real life, when you are entering into the professional world, that means the company is going to identify whether you are the right person for the designation or not. Role playing is an educational technique in which people spontaneously act out problems of human relation and analyze the enactment with the help of the others, players, and observers. So, in role play, there are players also and observers also, and their role is to just have a check on your personality whether you are using your educational technique in that particular solving problem or not. So just role play is a kind of exercise which is being done by the company in order to know that whether the person is having those skills for which the company is going to hire that particular candidate. What is the purpose of role play? To convey information. That means if you are giving a role to perform of an HR, that means you should have now the knowledge and the complete information that what are the duties and responsibilities of a HR. To develop specific skills, what are the skills that are required for the post of HR manager. To develop a situation for analysis if there is a kind of lockdown or lockouts or strike in a company organization, so that is also a kind of situation. So how that HR manager that situation and how he or she can have a solution for that particular situation. To develop understanding of points of view of others if the persons have done strikes or lockdowns or lockouts, then what behind that strike. So HR person should points and should work on those points by talking to those persons and understanding their point of view also, to increase insight into typical way of dealing with the problem. So role play is only and only with the problems. If you are having this kind of situation, then how you are going to perform in that situation, that is all about the role play. That means just to make you aware if in future if you are being appointed for this particular designation, so what are the duties and responsibilities that you are going to have in a coming near future. So that is only to make you understand or make you prepare for the upcoming role which the company has decided for you. It provides an opportunity for social interaction from from first designation to second designation to third. Then it is a kind of opportunity. If you are if the company is going to give you promotion on the basis of your performance, so this helps in increasing your social between the different classes of people or between the different levels of people which are working in an organization. Educational benefits. So how role play is going to benefit it on the basis of your role play is not about acting only. It is a technique for learning in which there is an explicit situation established with students playing specific roles spontaneously, saying and doing when they understand their character would in that situation. So role play is a kind of exercise which is being followed just to make the students or just to prepare the students spontaneously for a particular role and make them understand about the character of that role. If you are being appointed for this particular roles, then what are the feelings that you are going to face, what are the things that you are going to deal with if you are being appointed for that particular position. This provides opportunities for learning in both the affective domain where emotions and values are involved, as well as in the cognitive domain where experiences are analyzed. So it becomes an opportunity for you to learn something new in which there is a role of emotions and values, and with which you have a good experience also. So that means it is a kind of the opportunity in which there is an involvement of emotions and values, where which you can only be experienced with the that particular role and analysis. So educational benefits which helps up to polish your personality by giving you that particular role. This provides opportunities for learning in both the affective domain where emotion and values are involved, as well as in the cognitive domain where experience are analyzed. So in this, the candidate or the person can learn by emo- involving himself emotionally and morally and moral basis, which helps you to give you a new experience on the basis of analysis which you have been gone through by performing role. What can students learn from role play to solve a problem? That means you are going to face a particular situation. If that kind of situation prevail in your company, how you are going to solve that problem if you are in that particular situation. To apply skills to solve that problem, you there is a need of some special type of skills. So here the company can easily judge whether you are applying those skills to solve the problem or not. Some students are having the skills, but they don't know the right time when to apply those skills. So that means if the person is having the skills of solving a problem, so whether that person know that where he or she has to apply those skills which is actually required to solve a problem, to explore or change values. Yes, if you are given a certain kind of role to perform, then during the performance of that role, you are going to explore yourself with something new on every stage. To develop empathy, to become aware of one's assumption. That means if you are performing that role, with that performance, you can easily judge what the other person are going to have assumptions for that particular role. That means it also helps you to become aware of the others assumptions, or what others are going to assume if you are going to have a such role in a nearby future. Steps for role play. So these are the steps define the problem. That means if you are given a role of HR manager, that means you have to define the role. Define the role means what are the things that should be covered up in performing the role of a HR manager. Creates a readiness for the role. That means you should prepare yourself mentally and physically that anyhow you have to perform this role. Establish the situation. Then if you are going to say that you have to perform a role of a teacher, that means the thing that you have to do is that you have to keep yourself ready for the role which has been assigned to you, and you have to establish the situation. That means you have to be prepared for every situation which comes if you are assigning the role of a teacher or if you are assigning the role of a HR manager. cast the characters. That means if you are given a problem, then you should know that what characters are needed to solve that problem. For example, if a company will give you a situation of strike, so strike is a problem. Second thing, you have to make yourself ready to perform the role. Then you have to establish the situation. That means in real you have to face the situation that actually there is a problem of strike. Cast the characters. Now to come up with the problem, what are the characters that you needed to overcome with that problem? Brief and warm up. Once you have cast the characters, now you have to define the role of every character, that this is your role, and warm up. Acting. Now you have given the cast, given the characters, then you have brief about the characters, then you have warm up also. Now the next thing is acting. Acting means whatever you want, that you have to prove yourself, that you have to perform with the help of acting. Stopping means that once your role is finished, you should know the proper time where you have to stop, then again when you have to continue. That means you have to keep a keen watch on the time your character, that when you have to enter in the situation and when you have to exit from the situation. Involving the audience. This is the most important factor, that once you are doing a role play, then you have to make a connection with among the audience and you. That means you have to build up a kind of relationship between you and the audience. आपने देखा होगा बड़े बड़े फंक्शंस होते हैं, या आपके स्कूल या कॉलेजेस में भी फंक्शंस हुए थे, तो जो कैरेक्टर ऑडियंस बहुत ज़्यादा इंजॉय करती हैं तो उन पे खूब सारी तालियां बजती हैं, सीटियां बजती हैं. दैट मीन्स दैट पर्सन हैज़ involve the audience with himself at 100%. So that shows that audience had 110% involved with the character. Analyzing the discussion. That means whatever the situation on which the role play is going to be performed, first of all, that role play has to be analyzed with discussion. Evaluating means whatever the roles you have been assigned to the characters, whether all that role are being performed properly or not. That means you have to evaluate the performance of the characters which you have used to define a problem. Present an artificial problem, situation, or even that represents some aspect of reality. That means you have given a kind of imaginary situation. Now you have to convert that imaginary situation into reality. An artificial problem has been given to you. Now it's your how you will convert that artificial problem or situation into reality. So that is the basic motive of role play. Define the problem, situation, and roles clearly. Whatever is the problem, whatever is the situation, everything should be defined clearly so that every character should understand what he or she has to do at a particular course of time. Give clear instructions. That means you have to assign or you have to give instructions to each and every character which plays a role in that particular situation. Determine whether role plays will be carried out using student volunteers in front of the class. The teacher may or may not play a role. In partnership, small groups with every student playing a role, or in small groups with role players and observer. So you have to give the clear instruction that the role play which you are going to perform, that is being in front of the audience, in front of the teachers, in front of the large crowd, or in front of the small crowd, or in front of the two or three persons. So this type of instructions you have to mention clearly. Using trials. When first using role play in a class, it is smart to involve everyone at first so no one feels singled out. That means if you are going to perform this activity for the first time, then you have to involve every person in this activity so that no one feel odd man out. Instead of asking for volunteers, divide the whole class into trios in which two in each group are players and the third is an observer. That means you have to assign the role in three forms. That means in a group there should be three students, that is known as trios, in which two will are known as players and one is known as the observer. So that is a team of trios. Give specific written guidelines for the observer. That person who is acting as an observer, you have to give him a guideline and the guidelines should be in written. Switching. Once trios have gone through the role play once, try switching so that the observer get a chance to experience the role play and role players have the chance to observe. Switching means now you can shuffle the role of player with the observer. Now the player will become the observer and the observer will become the player. So that means shuffling of the characters between the persons. That is known as switching. Debriefing. The debriefing is the most important part of the role play. This is when the learning is clarified, confirmed and solidified. That means once the role play is on the final touch, so that means everything should be cleared, confirmed and solidified. To debrief is to reflect and discuss as a group what everyone learned in the process of performing the activity. That means all those persons who are involving in the process of role play, they will going to learn something new by performing that role. Sorry. This requires students to analyze and synthesize the parts of a complex dynamic. That means with the help of the role play, the students able to analyze the problem that this kind of situation will come and this kind of situation can be solved by following these type of processes. Purpose of role play: to convey information, to develop a situation for analysis, to develop understanding of point of view of others, to increase insight into typical way of dealing with a problem, and provides an opportunity for social interaction among members. So that means in role play you have been given a imaginary situation in the form of problem, and to solve that problem you have to develop those skills which are actually required to solve that problem. So that is all about the role play. Values of role playing: there is emotional involvement as the actors try to feel the character he or she is portraying and put himself in that person's character. Yes, it is a kind of emotional involvement where a person involve himself in that character which he is going to perform. It is enjoying by people who do it. That means आप movies देखते हैं. Movies is also a kind of role play in which the person is assigned as a hero, the other person is assigned as a heroine, and the next person is assigned as a villain. So that is also a kind of role play. So that means the person who are involving themselves in role play, they are actually going to enjoy that role play. It does not need equipment. That means if you are going to act for an imaginary situation, then there is a no need of any equipment. It is a method to involve a group through participation. Only one thing is needed in role play, and that is the active participation. It can bring out data, human behavior, and human relations which are not made available by other method. Through this method, you are going to develop a good relation between the employees, between the working factors in a particular organization. In role playing, the student not only hears about a problem or tells about, he lives through it by acting it out. Yes, this is the most important factor, that by performing a role play, the person actually lives the problem or lives the situation for which he or she is going to perform the role play. Stepping, setting up of a role playing. Now, what are the things that you should do before role playing? Define a problem, then identify the characters, ask the participant to try to place themselves in the position of the characters, caution the participants against the desire to express their own ideas and opinions. Each class member selects some identifies herself with it, listen and try to anticipate what the person in the situation might say or do. Never rehearse for role playing. So these are the things which should be known before setting up a role play. If you are having the personality that you are able to perform a kind of role play, then these are the things you have to keep in mind before setting up of role play. That means you have to ask each participant that whether he or she is comfortable in doing that role which you are going to give. So that means once if you are ready for a particular role play or character, that means you have to involve yourself emotionally into that character. Merits of role play strategy. Student interest in the topic is raised. That means one imaginary situation is used to be given in role play, and then the students have to generate their interest. Active participation. If you are giving a duty, then you have can actively participate to perform that role play. Long term retention. That means if you are going to perform the role on an active participation, that means लोग आपको काफ़ी टाइम तक याद रखेंगे that he or she is the person who has performed brilliantly in that role. It enhances communication and interpersonal skills. Yes, it also helps in making your communication and interpersonal skills more effective. It can be used with individuals or in groups. That means you can assign a role to a one individual also and to a group of persons also. It teaches empathy and understanding of different perspective. Yes, that means you will learn playing the role of a particular character for that situation. It helps individual to learn to accept both their own feelings and those of the others. It helps to maintain a balance between the feelings of the person who is going to perform a role and the feelings of the observer also. कभी कभी आपने देखा होगा कि किसी भी सीरियल में या किसी भी मूवी में एक इमोशनल सीन आ जाता है कि जब आप ऑटोमेटिकली रोने लगते हैं, और कभी ऐसा कॉमेडी का सीन आता है कि जब आप हंसने लगते हैं. तो ये सब क्यों होता है? दैट मीन्स द पर्सन हु इज डूइंग दैट रोल, he or she has involved himself all fully in that role, and it also helps to build a good relation with the audience. It develops confidence and self-efficiency, provides teacher immediate feedback about the learner's understanding and ability to apply concepts. That means if you are given a role to play, it gives a kind of self-confidence that you are able to perform that role in that particular organization. क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं the company is continuously watching your performance and watching you whether the company will promote you or not. So it is a kind of a thing which helps in developing a confidence, self-efficiency among the persons who are working in the organization. It develops competence. Yes, once you are having a confidence for a particular position, then automatically it develops a feeling of competition between the employees. They require mental and physical activity, example gesturing to put forward a point. That means a kind of mental and physical activity is required in which people come to know that how to raise their point or how they can keep their point in front of the management. It reduces discipline problems which often raise from boredom and lack of motivation. Discipline also takes place. The person will become well disciplined if any kind of role has been assigned to the person. Help students to understand that there are relationships between people behavior and the outcomes of event. That means there is a good balance between the people behavior and the outcomes of the event. Once your role has been finished, then the people can easily judge you as a person and as the role which you have performed in a event. It enables students to explore their values and appreciate the consequences of their values-based actions. Enables students to identify options and solutions. Enables students to manage conflict. The main thing is it helps in handling the conflict also. During a process of selection, company used to give a problem of lockouts, strike. Then the person has to involve himself fully in that situation, that how that situation can be cope up. And this also helps in enabling or in controlling the conflicts which takes place between the different working factors. Conclusion. So at last, we have to conclude that why role play is important. Role play is powerful and effective teaching method, especially for behavioral change. That means once the company has appointed you as a assistant manager, then on the basis of your performance, the company has promoted you as a manager and then as an event manager. So that means it helps in the change of a person's behavior. कि जब आप एक ordinary employee थे तब आपका आपके colleagues के साथ the behavior is different. Once you have been appointed as a manager, then your behavior with your downline becomes different. You cannot talk to them on a casual note. So that means once the role is being assigned to a candidate, the person's behavior automatically changes according to the role. Also good for practicing communication skill. Yes, role play also help in improving the communication skills. Key is in the construction and delivery with careful facilitation. Good for faculty as it entertains, interactive, and reduces learner fatigue. So these are the important factors which plays an important role in the role play. So practice these kind of public speaking skills. Take some topic, try to communicate with your friend or at your home. So it helps in building a good communication skills, which proves to be beneficial on your professional front. So that's all for this lecture. Now we will meet in the next lecture. So till then, stay safe, stay blessed, and have a nice day. Thank you, class.